What's good, everyone? It's your boy Edo's Picks, and today I'm checking back in with another YouTube video. And in today's video, we are going to go over the NBA trade deadline and how it's officially here. It's about to be February. The deadline is on the 6th. I think my last video with Cam, I had it confused. I kept saying it was the 2nd, but it's actually a couple days after, on the 6th. So the deadline is here, and I'm not just going to talk about rumors and fake trades, things off Twitter. We're going to really take a deep dive into all 30 teams. Every single one, I'm going to put them into 5 different categories as like a tier list based on what they should be doing, what I think they're going to do before the deadline. This gives us a way to quickly talk about all 30 teams, where they're at, and what I think they should do moving forward, with this deadline so close. So the 5 tiers we're going to use today is who's under pressure, who's buying, who's selling, who's going to do a little bit of both, facilitating, buying, selling, whatever they need to do to make moves, maybe see him in some 3-way trades, and who's just going to sit still, not really do as much. So there's a lot of teams that are one move away from maybe changing the entire league, changing the history of what we're going to see the rest of the season. There's some teams that need to be real with themselves. There's some teams that are lying to themselves. There's some front offices where I feel like they have an imaginary clock ticking at all times and they can't see it, but their time's coming and they need to make a move. So the easiest way I figured we could do this is just go alphabetical order. We're not going to dodge any teams. We might talk about some teams less than others, depending on what I have prepared and what I think these teams are going to do. But I guarantee you, at least a couple of these placements, people aren't going to agree with. There's going to be different takes on what people should do. So when it comes to it, we'll hop right into what we have and what we need to take a look at. So we'll go in terms of alphabetical order by city. So the team that I had first on my list are Atlanta Hawks. We'll go ahead and dive into the Atlanta Hawks. So what I think the Hawks are going to do at the deadline, they obviously recently traded Trae Young, so they kind of got their big move out of the way, and I think it's one of the bigger moves we're going to see all season is the Atlanta Hawks. They're open to taking in a new direction. They had a great offseason. Well, it was supposed to be a great offseason. It didn't turn out really well. Kristaps Porzingis has missed so many games with injury and illness, so they're opportunistic. I think they need to use the financial flexibility they got from Trae to make moves and start targeting some vets and some key pieces to help them. So for me, Atlanta's a little bit of a tough one to put into any of these tiers. If I had to put one, I would say with them in an opportunistic spot, I would consider them to be a buying team at this point in time. So I'd go ahead and put them in buying with the idea that they can improve with that financial flexibility that they got from Trae Young. The next one up is the Boston Celtics. So this is another fun one because they need a big, right? They need a big. I don't think they're under any type of pressure, and I don't really think they're buying. They need some depth, some wing depth. Jason Tatum's going to come back, which is going to help that. But they need a front court. They need a center. Neemias Queta has been all right for them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put Boston in buying as well. I feel like Boston is a buying team at this point. They're not under any pressure. I don't see them selling, obviously, because they're exceeding expectations without Tatum. This is a team that could be one center away from making a run at the championship. So I would go ahead and put them in the buying tier. And I'm scared of the Celtics team as a Thunder fan. I think this is the team to beat in the East, especially if they get Jason Tatum back. That'll be huge for them. That's another one to look out for. I would consider them a buying team at the deadline. I don't know if they make a move. I don't know if they make a splash, but they have some key pieces like Simons that they can upgrade and move on from to get that front court depth figured out. So keep an eye on the Celtics making a move like that. Next one up is the Brooklyn Nets. So for me, the Nets they have the most salary cap space in the league. They're one of the only few teams with like real cap space and flexibility. They also have some guys that they can move. Michael Porter Jr. is one that could be moved. So for them, I think what they're looking to do is pick up some terminable contracts and be kind of like a facilitator, right, for some of these other guys. I don't think they're selling because they have this cap space. I would consider them a facilitating team at this point in time. And they might end up being one of the few ones that end up there. But with that cap space and what they can do and some of the assets that they have, Cam Thomas, Michael Porter Jr., Claxton, I would consider them a facilitating team at this point in time. And it's definitely someone that would be involved in trades up until the deadline. So definitely keep an eye on the Nets moving forward. Next up is the Charlotte Hornets. This is a little bit of a weird one. I don't see them doing a whole lot. I kind of want to say they're under pressure, right? But what pressure? The LaMelo Ball pressure? That doesn't feel right. That feels like the wrong place to put them. They have young guys, and they're starting to come around as the season rolls around. And with them being healthy, I think this Hornets is in a good spot. They're not good enough to buy and make a playoff push. They're not going to sell off some of these pieces. I could see them being involved in trades, maybe picking up some young talent via swaps or things like that. So I would kind of put them in the same tier as the Brooklyn Nets as a facilitating team at this point in time. Next up is the Chicago Bulls. So with the Bulls, they have a lot of expiring contracts, right? They have Vucevic, Herter, just a ton of expiring contracts. I think Kobe White, Ayo DeSumo, they're going to be restricted free agents or free agents coming up, if I'm not mistaken there. So this is definitely a selling team pretty easily. They're going to be the first one that goes into that selling tier. But they are going to move people for younger talent and picks and try to sneak into the lottery, things like that. So this Bulls team is definitely a selling team at the deadline. Be on the lookout for them to be involved in a lot of moves. I've heard Kobe White linked to a couple teams. Houston is the main one that I was a fan of. They need a point guard bad. I'm a fan of Kobe White. So be on the lookout for the Bulls to make some moves. Their front office is always weird, and they don't do things the right way. Hence the reason why they're never really good and haven't been since Michael Jordan. But I would consider them a selling team at the deadline. Next up is going to be the Cavs, who ultimately haven't performed up to any type of expectations. After winning 60-plus games last year, coming into the year and performing bad is tough. They need some front court help, like scoring-wise. Jared Allen and Mobley just don't do it on the offensive end. Garland's obviously been in and out of the lineup a ton. It's just a tough one. So for me, I think this is the first under-pressure team, right? Because they were 1 seed last year. They've won a championship within the last 10 years. Their roster's good, but it goes into that time, that time clock just ticking and ticking and ticking. Like, we need to be good. We have the roster to be good. Why aren't we good? So I could see them making moves for like slight bench upgrades, situational pieces here and there. I don't really have anyone in mind that can instantly help this Cavs team. And I don't know if they can make really any moves, but I would put them in the under pressure tier because of their history. Titles within the last 10 years, 1 seed last year. I mean, it's just they need to do something, right? So the Cavs are one of those first under pressure teams for me. Next up would be the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks is a really interesting one as well. They have Anthony Davis, but they don't seem to be in a rush to get that done for whatever reason. He's injured again right now. So, they have some time. I think at the deadline, they need to make moves. They need to start clearing some of this stuff out. They have Daniel Gafford and Najee Marshall, Klay Thompson. So obviously they have Cooper Flagg too. That's who we're building around here when we think of this Mavericks roster is Cooper Flagg. And what we can do with him. So I would put them in the selling tier, right along the Chicago Bulls there. I would say that because they need draft assets. If Anthony Davis is tradable at this point in time, they're going to sell on him if the price is right. So I would look for them to be an active team. I think they're going to be involved in some stuff. At the very minimum, they're a facilitating team. But I look to them to be selling some of these key pieces that they have. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties there, but we were just diving into the Nuggets, and this is pretty easy for me. It's a team that's going to be staying put. They've dealt with some injuries, and they've still been really, really good this year. They have their championship core still intact for the most part. Maybe minor upgrades, maybe bench depth, things of that nature that they could add. But for the most part, I don't really see them looking to make many moves. If something falls in their lap, they'll obviously take it. But this is a team that I have in that staying put category moving forward. So next up, Detroit Pistons. So they've been really surprising this year, right? They've been a great team. top of the Eastern Conference standings, which I think is important. What they need is something that's going to help them protect their seeding and help them perform at a playoff level. So I looked at them to add some experience, some, playoff depth, just add some depth pieces essentially that are going to help them make a run at a title. Because I don't want to say their window is right now. They have Cade Cunningham, who's a very good guard, second time All-Star, first time starter. Jalen Duran is coming out of his shell and looking like a beast, completely dominant there. So they have time. They don't need to mess up what they have moving forward to make a run at it this year and this year only. But I would consider them to be a buying team to make moves, going into the playoffs this year, and really to protect their seeding so they have home court advantage and so they can make a run at a title. Next up is the Golden State Warriors, and they're going to be another one off rip that just goes into under pressure. They have a lot going on in Golden State right now. They have Jimmy Butler obviously just tore his ACL. Where is it? It was Achilles. I don't know why I don't remember Achilles or ACL, but I always get the two confused. Anyways, Jimmy Butler's obviously out for the rest of the season. Jonathan Kuminga, who knows what's going on there. They need to be a buyer at the deadline. They need to be flexible. They need to get rid of things. It's hard because they need a lot of help. And this is someone that I'd say they're under pressure because of that imaginary clock that's ticking that they can't see. Steph Curry getting old in his run, and he can't do it by himself anymore, honestly. We can't ask Steph Curry to be the primary scorer that's going to give us 30 a game and 20 a game. It's just going to be too tough for Curry to carry the load without a Jimmy Butler. He has no sidekick. This is a team that's under pressure, and they need to get it right now because Curry won't be here for as long as we think, as long as we want him to be. He'll be gone before we know it. Which the Warriors know. I don't know if they're well equipped for the post-Curry era. Interesting to see what that will look like, but they're not focused on that right now. They need to be focused on winning and trying to get back to the promised land to fulfill Steph's legacy as the best team, or as the best point guard ever, and the Golden State Warriors to be one of the best teams we've ever seen. That's how I would describe the Warriors. They have so much going on. Yeah, the Houston Rockets up next. So what I think about the Houston Rockets is to stay put. I think they're in the market for a point guard. Obviously, everyone knows that. But I like the roster they have. I think they can contend with what they have. They just need to work it out. I don't want them to make any altering trades. I don't see them making any big roster altering trades. They have some guys they can get rid of. Teams are probably interested in Clint Capella or just some of those deeper assets that's not getting as many rotational minutes as possible. But I like what they built with their core guys. They've added Kevin Durant to be the main guy on their core. So I see them staying put. I don't think they have a small window. I think they have a larger window than what we think. So if they can't get it done this year, they'll continue to, build with this roster, get better, and go from there. I could see them making more moves in the offseason versus right now at that deadline. Next up, Indiana Pacers. The Pacers for me are another interesting one. I don't really know where to put them. I think if I had to take a guess on what they would either do, would it be buying or staying put, right? The reason I would want to put them in the buying tier, and I think this is where I'm going to put them, is because Halliburton's not out for the rest of his career. He's coming back. I mean, we know what Hallie is capable of. They just went to the finals last year. If they can make moves to upgrade this roster and still be bad enough to not win as much this year without Halliburton, that's going to be really important. Like this Raptors team last year added Brandon Ingram when they were terrible, god awful. They went out, sneakily got a Brandon Ingram. Now they're one of the top teams in the East. It's kind of what I'm thinking for the Pacers, right? I don't think they have a clear direction. I think they can really go any of these ways. I could see them being a selling team, getting rid of some of these larger contracts. Benedict Mathurin just hasn't really fit their timeline. He's been injured this year, hasn't lived up to the expectations that I set for him, at least. I could see them facilitating some stuff, being in, three-way trades to pick up some extra assets here and there. I could see them staying put because they're waiting on Hallie to get back. It's just they could really go any way. They're definitely not under pressure, but I'll put them in the buying tier. I think it would be cool to see the Pacers make some moves, and I could ultimately see them end up doing it at the deadline. So that's nice. The Clippers are next. This is another tough one. I don't really see them doing a whole lot. They have an old roster, and they built it this way on purpose. They need to build out some cap space. They could be making moves to offload Chris Paul. There's a lot of things that the Clippers could do. But they need to start getting ready for their future a little bit better. I don't think that happens at the deadline. I think they're going to be a team that stays put. Ultimately, I mean, they can still make a playoff push, especially with a healthy Kawhi Leonard. Interesting to see what is in store for the Clippers. I just don't think it happens quickly at the deadline. Another team here, the Los Angeles Lakers, and for me, it's pretty easily, I'm going to put them under pressure, right? Another team that's won the championship within the last decade. They have a 41-year-old LeBron James, who is the best basketball player we've ever seen step foot on the court. We don't know where he's going. We don't know if he's staying with the team. We don't know if he's retiring. There's a lot of pressure around LeBron James. To clear up all that pressure, you need to win. You got to make moves at the deadline to be able to win with this roster. They have tons of guys they can move off of. Vanderbilt is a piece of shit. I can't stand Jared Vanderbilt. Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent is terrible. Like they're just not ultimately just a good enough team to where they need to make moves. They need to bring guys in, and they need to try to win now to get back to that championship level with LeBron James and Luka Doncic. I don't think they should necessarily mess up their future and go all in on these last couple years or year of LeBron James and then set Luka up for failure. They need to keep in mind that Luka is ultimately what they need to be building around long term. But they can make like Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Vanderbilt, Dalton Connect. None of these guys are long-term pieces anyways. Get them all going. Go in on LeBron. Take your team from the 5th seed to the top, 2 or 3 seed, and let them compete for a championship. Let them run out there with Houston and Denver and try to make these moves to win. So they're definitely, they're a buyer as well, right? They're buying. That's ultimately what I'm saying. But it's more than just buying at this point. It feels like they're under pressure to make a move and try to win a title within the next 1 to 2 years with this duo of Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, or trio, I guess, Austin Reeves and LeBron James, who is 41, and we have no idea whether he wants to be on the Lakers next year, whether he wants to be on any team next year. It's hard to tell. Make a move, build around LeBron, try to win now with LeBron, I should say, while building around Luka Doncic. Next up is the Memphis Grizzlies. They're a selling team, right? They are entertaining offers for Ja Morant. Ja came out and said that's where he wants to be. Just on-court production, off-court narratives. It's just things like that are affecting Ja's value, so that's a little tough. But they need to make some type of direction. They have no direction. They have no identity as a team. So they need to start picking up some expiring contracts, future picks. And if they move Ja, it'll be one of the bigger trades of the deadline, which I think at this point in time, you should send them to Miami. Send them to one of these people that will pick them up if they are entertaining it, if anyone's entertaining it. Don't sell low when you're a franchise guy, but if the price is right, you got to get rid of them. Next up, Miami Heat up next. I guess these are in alphabetical order right here, but I'll keep going off my list. What are the Miami Heat going to do? Guess they're a buying team, right? I think they're performing at a higher level than what I expected. They've been dealing with some injuries. There's a lot of trade buzz around Giannis Antetokounmpo going to Miami, Ja Morant going to Miami. This always happens with Miami. So I'm kind of hesitant to put them in the buying tier and then them ultimately end up just staying put or facilitating deals, which I can see happening. Pat Riley, I think he sleeps on the day of the trade deadline. So it's interesting to see what they'll do, but they need to, if they're going to be buying, I think they have to target maximum impact guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo and Ja Morant if they can pull it off. Milwaukee Bucks, another fun one to talk about, and this is going to be for me a team that is under pressure as well. For kind of the same reason as some of these other guys. They've won a championship in the last decade. Their star player doesn't want to be there anymore, supposedly. Giannis is on the move. This is a selling Bucks team. If the Bucks are under pressure because they have to sell, right? So at the deadline to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo would be almost as big as trading Luka Doncic last year. That's their asset right now is Giannis. They also have other pieces that can be moved, such as Kyle Kuzma. Be interested to see where he could go. I read something earlier. It was talking about sending Kuzma to like a team like the Warriors. I could see that, but they need to start rebuilding. Focus on rebuild because you're either going to lose Giannis eventually in a year or two, or for nothing, or you're going to trade him now and get as much as you can. So they're obviously under pressure with Giannis looking to be traded. So this is probably the most watched team of the deadline at this point with the Giannis news. So keep an eye on the Bucks. I think moves are gonna happen at this point. It just is it gonna be the big one that we're all looking for? Who knows? Minnesota Timberwolves, a little bit of a weird one for me. I think this is a team that is staying put. They could start to trade some of these pieces, look for some wing help, some rim protection, but I just don't see them buying at this point in time. I don't see them facilitating trades. They're kind of in that middle pack of the East, but I think they're content with the roster that they have. Hesitant to call them a contender, but we've seen them go to the Western Conference Finals within the last few years. Anthony Edwards is obviously only getting better. So I'd say they're staying put. I don't see them making a bunch of drastic moves, if any, at the deadline. The New Orleans Pelicans, they're in a facilitating tier, right? They're not buying, they're not really selling some of these pieces. They have the young guys, they have the Fears and the Queens. Then on the other side, they have who knows what happens with Zion and Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. So they could technically be a selling team. For me, this deadline, I just see them being that middle ground and start facilitating some of these deals, so they could start to pick up some contracts that they can offload while trying to retain their own core. So I see them as more as a facilitating team than a selling team at this point in time. This is a tough one too, right? The Knicks, they are not living up to their own expectations on the year. It's hard to put them into many of these tiers. Ultimately, the one that I would want to put them in personally is under pressure. They have a lot of pressure to get it done, right? It's been a long time since we've seen the Knicks get it done. They've built a roster that can do it. They have what they need. I think they need to start looking to add some more depth pieces, of course, which could land them in the buying tier. But I think they're under pressure, man, especially with Giannis on the trade block. The Knicks are a team that Giannis has said he wanted to go to in the past. So I don't think they're buying unless it's a blockbuster deal like the Giannis one. But if they can make a star upgrade like that to become an even more of a title contender, I think the Knicks are under pressure to do so, right? So that's where I would land them. I think that's probably all the under pressure teams we're going to have moving forward. Yeah, it is. That's really it. And that's a fire under pressure list there. That's exactly what I would think of when under pressure at a trade deadline. Those 5 teams right there. OKC, this is a little bit of a tough one. I don't know where to put them. As a Thunder fan, I am 100% okay with staying put. I don't think we need to make moves. I don't think we need to worry about losing to the Spurs or losing to the Timberwolves last night. I like our roster. Our roster is really strong. We obviously just won a championship with the same roster. I don't see us making many moves, but we also have too many first-round picks to just be staying put, right? I want to say we're going to be a facilitating team. And that's weird to put us alongside of these 3 teams that are god-awful and above, in a different tier than all these teams that we're similar to. But I want to say we're going to be a facilitating team at the deadline. I don't say we're staying 100% put. I see us being involved in some deals. People have coming out and reports are saying, watch the Thunder. Hartenstein might be a guy we're selling on. It's just going to be a tough one. I don't think we can stay completely put. I think we're going to be a facilitating team and look to do what we always do, just capitalize on the market. And Sam Presti is one of those GMs that I just don't think, he's not like Pat Riley sleeping on the phone on trade deadline day. He's up, he's active, and he's going to be one of those people that are making trades happen. So I'm putting OKC in the facilitating tier, but they are one to watch for sure because they're not living up to some of their own expectations. So it's a tough one. I think the Orlando Magic, this is a little bit of a tough one. I kind of want to put them up here in the under pressure tier. They made some big moves to bring in Bane. They chose to keep a lot of their core intact. They have the young guys, but I just don't think under pressure is the right tier for them. I don't see them buying. I don't know, it's tough. They have a lot of pieces. Could see them being a seller as well. They have some draft assets or some young assets that they can try to get rid of and acquire. It's just a little bit of a tough one. I don't see the Magic being really too active at the deadline. I don't think they're buying. I don't know. To make a run at a title. I'm going to put them in the staying put tier, personally. I think they're going to be the first team out east that is staying put. So next one is the 76ers, and my first thought is to go ahead and put them in the buying tier as well. I want to say that, but the only reason they would go in the buying tier for me is if it's a clear upgrade and something that's going to help them win a title. They need some shooting, they need some defense as well. Embiid can't stop a fly in the paint, so I don't know. I want to put them in the buying tier. Another one that is just kind of all over the place for me, right? I don't think they're definitely not selling. I don't think they're facilitating, but they could easily run with what they got into the playoffs or buy to make a move. And if I had to put them in a tier, it would also be alongside the Orlando Magic and that staying put tier because I like their roster. I think they're good. And they had a young piece in VJ that they can build around Tyrese Maxey. So I just see him staying put, letting this run his course, letting Embiid continue to get healthy because he's been dominant out there on the court. So I see them as a team that's going to stay put at the deadline. This is another one because I don't think the Suns expected to be this good. I think they need to be a buying team. They obviously don't have a ton of first round picks. Maybe that's what they can target at the deadline by getting rid of some of these non-core guys, Colin Gillespie or Mark Richards, just whatever it may be. It's a weird time for the Suns because they're actually surprisingly all right, but the West is really good. I don't consider them a contender by any means. So I think they're buying, but not so much buying to make a run at a title, more so buying to improve for next year is what I would think of the Phoenix Suns. Kind of similar to what the Raptors did that year and why I put the Pacers here this year. Portland Trailblazers, I think they're going to be a team that's facilitating deals. I have them facilitating deals because I don't think they're staying put. I don't think they're buying. I think they have little urgency, right? Possibly start to try to acquire some picks and things of that nature. I don't see them doing a whole lot, but I don't see them staying completely put either at the deadline. Next up, Sacramento Kings. So this is obviously a team that is selling at this point in time. They have a lot of pieces they can move on from, a lot of pieces that are going to help other teams that are buying, help some of these under pressure teams, maybe land them with one of these facilitating or staying put teams. I think the Kings obviously have Sabonis, they have Levine, they have DeRozan. They're definitely selling. They're looking to go to a younger swap. What they have now is not working. They're terrible. Their record sucks. So I would say they're selling vets for youth guys, youth picks, and moving towards that reshaping and that youth movement. They're definitely probably the biggest seller alongside of the Bulls, right? I would look for them to be the biggest seller alongside of the Bulls at this point in time. Next up, San Antonio Spurs, a team that's going to be staying put at the deadline. I think they built around Wemby really, really well. They could look to be in this buying tier, if anything, to make some upgrades over some of these guys. I think me and Canton talked about maybe a Michael Porter Jr. over like Champagnie and Keldon Johnson, but ultimately I think they're staying put. They can maybe target some depth players. I don't know. There's some things and moves that the Spurs can make, but they're in the right spot. I don't think they need to be under any pressure at the deadline to make a move. I would look to say it's another tough one. The Raptors are going to be a buying team. We got half the West down here in the staying put, and we got half the East up here in the buying. Just the way the cookie cupboard, I guess. But yeah, they're going to be a buying potential team. They have some potential to be buying at the deadline, looking to boost their own playoff chances and establish an established guard. They need a scorer. Alongside of B.I. Jay Bear's been in and out of the lineup, so that'll be interesting to see. This team is really surprising a lot of people. I think buying makes sense, and trying to boost their playoff chances is perfect for what they're doing here. So next up, we got two teams left. They're both terrible. I think the Wizards need to be a facilitating team in the deadline. They already got Trae Young. They made their big move. I think they need to maximize that fit, adding some guys around him, defense right next to Trae Young, some ball handling. So they're looking to make some upgrades for sure. I just don't know if it happens at this deadline. So I think they're going to be facilitating. They're not going to be completely out of the loop, but I don't look for them to make any big splashes. They'll pick up what they need to and make moves, but they won't be forced into buying, right? And the Utah Jazz, this is another tough one to really rank. I think they are full-blown tanking, right? They're a tanking team at this point in time. So with them tanking, I mean, you got to monitor them with future picks. If they can make moves and become a buying team to get a little bit better at the deadline, I could see them doing it. I don't know. The Jazz might be the hardest one to rank, ironically enough, as the last one. I don't think they're selling. I would consider them to be a facilitating team alongside of some of these other teams like the Pelicans, the Nets, some of these other guys. But that really leads us into it. We got all 30 teams. It's pretty evenly broken up here. Like I said, it's kind of weird. There's buying teams all throughout the East, same put teams all throughout the West. But that makes sense at the same time, right? Because these buying teams in the East can capitalize on a weaker conference. These guys down here, it's going to be harder for them to make a league-altering move in order to win the championship because they have a much harder path. So it makes sense down here for some of these staying put teams to be East and West, staying versus buying. Things to watch at the deadline. I'm going to probably do another video on the deadline. I don't think this will be the last one. We'll talk about some player-specific things to watch out for. I might have Cam or Rome or somebody on with me for that one, but big things to watch out for is the big guys being traded, right? The Giannis, the Anthony Davis, Ja Morant. Watch out for those injuries and things like that we got to pay attention to. But a lot of the trades are going to happen within the next week or so on this final push to the deadline. The last couple of days, that 4th, 5th, and 6th will be really, really fun to watch. Let's get you guys back over here. But yeah, ultimately, man, it was a fun video. We went through all 30 teams, some quicker than others. Let me know if you guys have any different opinions or anything down below in the comments. Definitely check it out. Or thank you guys for staying this far and making it into the video. If you did like what you saw, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.